Hey everybody, happy Friday. This is Morgan with This Empowered Mom Coaching and Consulting, and I am so glad that it's Friday. I am coming off the heels of a really nice little mini vacation here locally in Austin, and it was so nice to get away and spend some time with family, and now I am playing catch up. And one of the things that I have been so looking forward to today is coming on to start my new live series, The Experiences That Made Me. We all have a past, and we have stories to tell. We have joy, we have sorrow, we have loss, we have new beginnings, and all of those things make us who we are today. I wouldn't be who I am without a lot of the experiences and stories that made me. So I wanted to kick things off with an experience that really changed my life, and that is having total reconstructive jaw surgery 20 years ago at the age of 19. I do not think I would be who I am today had I not had that experience. One, going through a major surgery like that was pretty wild. Two, going through something like that changed my appearance. A lot to unpack with that. And three, just the wonders of the human body. So, I mean, the way that we heal is so fascinating. So I thought that I would answer some of your questions today. I've got them written down so I don't lose track. I'm going to start with, why did I even have this? What would have happened if I didn't have it? And what did they do? So when I was 15, I went to the dentist, and she noticed that my bite had changed pretty dramatically. I maybe had noticed it a little. I definitely had some pain in my jaw. Didn't really think anything of it. So she said, all right, we got to get you to an orthodontist. So I thought, okay, cool. Maybe I'll get braces. My teeth had been straight, but I had a gap in between my front two teeth. And it didn't ever bother me until I got into junior high, and a lot of my friends started getting braces. And I thought, well, I want a perfect smile too. I want straight teeth with no gap. So I was stoked, like, yes, maybe I'm getting braces. So I went to the orthodontist, and he said, oh, no. This is not your teeth. Your teeth are great. This is your jaw. So then I was like, what? I'm not getting braces? Oh, I did. And I got a whole lot more than that. So I went to see an oral surgeon, talked to him. He did a full set of x-rays, panoramic, and I was diagnosed with degenerative joint disease. So we all have a jaw joint, looks like this. It's a ball and socket. And mine, by the time I was 15, looked like a pencil. I better not do that movement on Instagram. Mine looked like a sharpened pencil. So that ball in that ball and socket joint had completely worn away. And so my jaw was slipping back up here, and I was causing an open bite, and that's what was causing that pain. So in the end, he said, you're going to need surgery. If you don't have surgery, there's a very good likelihood that by the time you are 40, which is a year from now, you will not be able to close your mouth. You will not be able to chew. You will not be able to eat. You will have difficulty speaking, because as my joint continued to degenerate, none of my teeth would actually touch. So I didn't want that to happen. My dad was seeing dollar signs, and he asked, if she stops chewing gum, will that solve the problem? Newsflash, degenerative joint disease, we learned, is not caused by chewing gum. So I was able to keep chewing gum. So long story, we had to wait for me to stop growing. I was 15. So every 6 months I would get x-rays of my growth plates in my wrist. I would get a full panoramic of my jaw. And finally, when I was a senior in high school, my growth plates had closed, and I was ready to start the process of preparing the surgery. So I got braces for that. So I was so lucky. I got braces my senior year in high school. I was totally cool, and got to wear them into college. So the braces were to get my teeth into place, and we scheduled the surgery for June 5th of 2001. That was the summer in between my freshman and sophomore year in college. So the next question is, well, what did they do? What does reconstructive jaw surgery look like? It looks a lot different now than it did 20 years ago. For me, I won't go into all the graphic detail, but if you want it, I obviously don't mind talking about it. They broke my jaw, removed part of my upper and lower jaw, just took it out completely, moved my lower jaw, pushed it forward. I've got a plate here behind my nose. I've got a plate in my chin, and then they put it all together with screws and wires. So I like to think of myself as having a bionic jaw. It is a lot of stainless steel, a lot of wires, and a lot of screws. And then when they were all done, they made a little plastic plate and inserted it in the palate of my mouth. It had holes drilled in it, and they wired me shut using my braces, and that was my life for the next 6 weeks. I was wired shut. So I spent 3 nights in the hospital, 2 nights in intensive care, if I'm remembering that correctly. I know if I'm not, my mom will correct me. And then I went home with my jaw wired. And your next questions are like, well, what did you eat? That was the question I got more often than not. I was on a completely liquid diet for 6 weeks. So I ate, hey, Roger. I ate lots of broth. Boost and Ensure were my best friends. I tried every single flavor. I was on some pretty heavy pain medication, and even that was liquid. So when I first got home, I had a little tiny syringe with a catheter tubing on it, and I had to literally just like shoot little bits of liquid into my mouth. One of my favorite treats was a pie a la mode milkshake. So for me, the only time in my life where if something wasn't calorie dense and calorie rich, it took more energy to eat it than energy that I got from it. So I looked at everything in terms of how many calories does it have? Does it have enough to make it worth it? And if I didn't, then I wouldn't eat it. So the best thing I had was that pie a la mode milkshake. It was ice cream, Boost, apple pie filling, all blended up. Something I probably has more calories than anything you can get at Sonic. It was delicious, and it definitely had enough calories to make it worth it. I got lots of gift cards for Jamba Juice. What I realized is anything that had the seeds got stuck in my in between the little holes, and then I couldn't eat it, and I would get really frustrated. I also loved the enchilada soup from Chili's, blended up and liquefied. That was also a really tasty meal. So what did I eat? Lots and lots and lots and lots of liquid and ice cream and Boost and blended soups. Could I talk? Yes, I could talk. Could you imagine me not being able to talk? I found a way to talk. My jaw was wired shut, but I could still move my lips. So at first it was really, really painful, but I got really good at talking like this. And I could pretty much, by the end of it, have full-on conversations. When I first got home from the hospital and talking was really painful and took too much energy, I had a notebook that I would write everything in, and that notebook has some very interesting notes and requests that at some point maybe I'll share a couple of those with you. But lots of questions like, why did I do this? What was I thinking? Am I ever going to feel better? Is my face ever going to look normal again? Because I had so much swelling. My lips, in a picture that I shared earlier, that didn't even capture it. Once I got home from the hospital, my lips really swelled to the size of hot dogs. So I was really afraid that I would never look normal again. Another question, did I lose weight? Yes. People would ask me that all the time, like, oh, wow, you had your jaw wired shut for 6 weeks? What a great way to lose weight. I wish I could do that. Well, let me tell you, I would never wish that on anyone. Not if it came with that kind of pain. So did I lose weight? I did. That was one of the things, honestly, that as a freshman in college, I was looking forward to, because I had gained the freshman 15. And since nothing's off limits here, I'll admit that one of the things I was excited about with this surgery was the change to my appearance and was losing weight. I think I ended up losing about 30 pounds, and I do remember my doctor saying that if I lost any more weight than that, then they would put me on a feeding tube. So that was definitely motivation to not continue to lose weight and to not look at this as an opportunity to lose weight. But that was something that as a 20-year-old, was I 20? Was I 19? I was 19. I was looking forward to, I'll admit that. And do you set off metal detectors? Great question. I set off metal detectors at the courthouse. That is the only place I have ever set off a metal detector. So I was a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate, and so I was at the courthouse a lot, sitting in on hearings for the kids who I was serving. And every time I went to the courthouse, I would set off the metal detector. They would do the things. It would be my job. I would tell them, and it was always a thing. But I have never set off a metal detector anywhere else, and not at an airport, but I was worried about that. So if you've got any more questions, let me know. I'm going to get to kind of what was the hardest part for me and how did it change my life. 3 things really stick out as what were the hardest parts. First is the pain. I had never experienced, and to this day, haven't experienced pain like that. All of the incisions and everything were internal, but as part of that, I shared they removed part of my jaw. They break your jaw. They cut in through my gum line, and they kind of peel your face back. So the pain was insane. And I was so afraid that I would get addicted to pain medication, because that is how pain medication was presented even back then, that I was really resistant and hesitant to take my pain medication as prescribed. And so one of the biggest takeaways I had from that is that my body, my mind, I believe I felt that pain, and that was my mind signaling to me like, hey, we've got to heal. We need to make you better. And when you are in a ton of pain, we can't do that. So I had an experience where I almost stopped breathing. I was in so much pain, and I was trying to stretch my pain medication. So after that and freaking my family out, I was much better about staying on top of my pain. Second hardest part, having to ask for help and having to accept help. Even at 19, I had been off at college. I was pretty independent. I was pretty used to doing my own thing. And with this procedure, I definitely needed help. I couldn't sleep in my bed. I didn't make a lot of my own food at first. I couldn't shower. I couldn't wash my hair. So I definitely needed help, and it was really hard for me, number 1, to ask for it, number 2, to accept it. And that is something that has continued to be a challenge for me in my life with my having kids, being a new mom. I also struggled with that. I've gotten a lot better, but that really sticks out to me as really needing that care and being willing to admit that I needed it and to accept it when people offered it. And the third thing that was really hard that I wasn't expecting was kind of having a complete loss of control. And I think that goes hand in hand with needing help and accepting help. I felt like I had lost control of everything. I couldn't eat. I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't drive. I had to carry wire cutters with me everywhere in case I choked or got sick so I could cut my wires. And so I really took advantage of the things that I had control of. And one of those was my hair color. You can imagine where this is going. I went to the store one day and I bought a box of hair color, and it turned my hair orange. So I thought I had control. I was like, this is the only thing I can control. I can change my hair color. I can do that and I will feel more like myself. Bad idea. I ended up on 4th of July at the JCPenney salon at the mall to try to correct the hair color that I had messed up and turned orange. And that was when I really kind of had a breakdown of feeling like I do not have control of anything. And I know I'm not the only one who likes that control, and who that control, we have power and control. So if you've had an experience like this, again, it was same thing with childbirth and having new kids and just wanting that sense of self and who I was. Even though I was so looking forward to this change, I wanted that control and I didn't have it. So I was reaching and grasping at anything that I could do to give myself that control back. And then how did it change me? These are the experiences that made me who I am. Number one, I had so much more confidence once I had healed from the surgery. I shared in my post that I look more like my younger self. So I look more now like I did when I was in elementary school and junior high than I did when I was a sophomore through senior in high school, because my face changed so much when that joint degenerated. I hated my profile. I hated the way that my lips didn't close all the way over my teeth. So I hated seeing myself in pictures. And I think I really let that lead instead of, this person that was really confident before all those changes started. And, looks are important to me. They built that confidence. And when I hated the way that I looked, I wasn't as confident. I wasn't as likely to volunteer for things, or I thought, am I ever going to have a boyfriend? How is anybody going to see me as beautiful? And I compared myself to a lot of my friends who I thought were more beautiful than I was. And if I could go back and tell my 18-year-old self that I was beautiful on the inside and the outside, and that I was one of the people that didn't see that, then I would. Humility. I was so humbled by the response that I got, all of the people who sent me notes and cards, my parents and siblings who took such great care of me, who pretty much dedicated their whole summer to taking care of me after I had that procedure. My care team, Dr. Blom, my orthodontist, Dr. Lambert, my oral surgeon, Dr. Handshoe, my dentist. I mean, what an amazing group of people to make this possible for me, not only to give me this smile back, but also to make it so that I could eat and experience life pretty much without pain in my jaw joint and not worrying about what was going to happen to that joint. Gratitude goes right along with that. I am so grateful to everybody who sent me a note or came to visit me in the hospital, or took care of me. And then a little bit of fear. I would never want to go through this again. So I do think that it's made me more cautious about certain things. Like, I'm pretty careful not to do anything where I could have a direct impact to my face, although I did play kickball. And I was really nervous anytime I was out in the outfield and saw something flying at my face. I still have a little bit of self-consciousness about it, to think when I look in the mirror that I wonder, like, oh, well, would I have the life I have now if I hadn't have had this surgery? Like, is this really me? My sister, who I love very much, she's my best friend, whenever anybody would see a picture of us and comment and say, like, oh, your sister looks like you, or your sister's pretty, she would say, oh, well, she had face surgery. She had plastic surgery. And I would think, did I have plastic surgery? Is that what I had? So I would always default to, no, this was medical and it was covered by medical insurance. And I've had to reconcile that with myself. I mean, whatever it was, who cares? It happened. And it's who I am, and I'm grateful for it. I also still have I'm numb completely on the side of my mouth and all the way down here. So sometimes you might notice, I notice it when I talk, and now maybe you will, is that this side of my mouth doesn't move quite the same way that this one does. It's because it's numb, because I can't feel it. So despite all that, I would do it all over again if I had to, but I would be scared about it. I would be trepidatious, knowing that it's changed a lot. I bet a lot of you who are watching this, as you have kids that are teenagers, you may hear that you get a referral to an orthodontic or maxillofacial surgeon and they want you to have jaw surgery. Take my experience with a grain of salt, because now this is outpatient for a lot of people and you're banded instead of wired. But still, if you've got questions or want recipes, feel free to reach out to me. This reconstructive jaw surgery, I believe, really changed me for the better. Obviously, aesthetically, I have a normal profile. My smile is radiant. And you know what? It always was. And I recognize that now. And I'm grateful that I can eat and that I can talk to you and that I can be here and that I can share this experience that made me. Stay tuned Next week, I'll be sharing something else. If you want to connect, I'd love to hear from you and share with me experiences that made you, because we all have our stories and they are what make us who we are today, for good, for bad, completely indifferent. I'd love to hear from you. Have an awesome, awesome weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.